This will be a remote viewing session for 0900 hours, 10 August 1982. Following is a pre-session briefing to the remote viewer. Today we will be working on a project that we previously attempted. Our abstract reference target queuing data will be more precisely calibrated today. I have provided you with a closed envelope which contains a map of today's target area and specific indication on the map of that target area. It's a little cross exactly over the target area. The required coordinates are then inscribed at the bottom of the page. Along with the name of the area. At the beginning of the session, I will read you the coordinates for the one and only target area for today. We will be working in the present time window. Do you have any questions concerning the project for this morning?
No.
Alright, you now have 15 minutes to prepare yourself for the session. In present time, in the area, 42 degrees 40 minutes north, 0 degrees 2 minutes east, is the target, which is perceptible.
Okay. Gray rocks, fog, see sheep.
In present time, in the area, 42 degrees 40 minutes north, 0 degrees 2 minutes east, is the target, which is perceptible.
A natural cave, cleft in rocks. Starts out vertical and goes horizontal. It's a white box, upside down plate, spike driven through it. It's wires going out like an octopus. A white box. It's kind of a grid.
This target is perceptible.
It's a dormant feeling. It's waiting. It's in a footprint of some kind. Some connection with some kind of a wait a minute.
This connection is observable.
Getting a upside down cone, huge, extending upwards, got edges, interconnecting points like a spider web. Impression of relay, impression that it catches something and relays it back. Stream high frequency relay, transponder type effect. Makes it like accurate point of the cone. Position of the cone is important.
Objects in the target are perceptible.
Isolated white box. Electronics. spiderweb grid, spike. Grid's buried. It's got a portable power pack. Location has to do with weather. So I get an impression that has to do with weather. Height. Height's important.
A time of target activity is perceptible.
Not fully active yet. Impression that it's going to be full-time active sometime in the future. Perhaps a year less. Being tested. Keep seeing multiple points in this huge cone with a fixed point in space, tying it all together. Pulse lines being targeted down, different angles being measured.
The function of the target is perceptible.
Pinpoint accuracy. Get an impression of triangulation and receiving extreme high wave output, bouncing it off at transponders, developing a pinpoint accuracy and location, mapping something. It's an impression more of concept than visual. Still get this impression of a string of beads in the sky circling the earth. You need to be high for clarity. Impression, this ground location is more important to a larger system. That's function.
Target occupants are perceptible.
Don't get any people.
Occupants are describable.
Don't get any people. Just automated machinery.
Time of target construction is perceptible.
2 to 2.5 years ago. So it was begun. Completed maybe a year ago. I'm just sitting and waiting for the rest.
Activity of target construction is perceptible.
Constructed elsewhere and flown in. See it being in place by a handful of people. Helicopters. It's a very rugged mountain range. Kind of desolate.
Vehicles of transport are perceptible.
It's helicopters. Not large, but small. That's all I get. Boxes being brought in by helicopters.
This is the end of the session.
Okay, drawings. Page 1 is a picture of the cobweb impression, which I have labeled receive. I feel like this is situated in a footprint. In other words, it's being targeted with some kind of an emitter, and that's a receiver. I have a cable going down into a cleft in the rocks on this particular location, and in the cleft in the rocks is like a control black box and a power pack. Located in the center is a small dish or disc type shape with a spike in it, and that's a very high frequency emitter, and it emits straight up. And there's a necessity that this be located on an extremely tall mountaintop or desert high range of mountains. And I just get an impression of, I say that because I get an impression of the need for height for clarity, and that it won't be screwed with in any way, blocked or jammed or shielded. Page 2 is what I call picture of the Earth, and we'll make a dotted line, which is the equator. Then I put my string of beads, or satellite type forms, that go around the Earth, approximately the equator. And from one of the beads, I have straight lines going to what I call single target sites. And then I get a bunch of angles off of that. I don't know what that means, but I get an impression of a requirement for extreme accuracy. That's more of a concept, incidentally. Page 3 is the mount. There's like 3 mountain ranges, and they all come together from country 1, country 2, and country 3. And I put a red asterisk where this particular target site's located.
Are you saying this mountain range is a boundary between countries?
Absolutely. Between 3 countries, as a matter of fact. I get that impression. I also get the impression this isn't the highest mountain in the area. It just happens to be one of the most desolate mountaintops. There are higher mountaintops, but they're not desolate. You know, they're used for something else. There's in regards to the helicopter, I get the feeling that there's helicopters involved in this particular target, but I'm not sure now whether or not they actually brought it up there. I get an impression like it was man-packed in, but that the helicopters are there either searching for it or overflying it or doing something with it.
Okay, I have a question to ask you. Reference this whole package of targets that we're doing.
Yeah.
Back on the first target we did, you had the feeling that this target was of some technology that you couldn't explain.
That's correct.
Do you have a similar feeling here?
This is all off the wall to me. My raw impressions are that each one of these target sites is like a different spoke in a wheel. And that's a bad example, but it's like a different part of a jigsaw puzzle. And each one is dormant. It does nothing unless it's commanded to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then all it does is transfer, or it just transfers something. But it's an integral part of this whole cobweb of jigsaw puzzle. I get just an overwhelming feeling of the big 3C, you know, command, control, and communications. And I also get an overwhelming feeling of an absoluteness and accuracy requirement here.
Okay. I'd like to quote to you from a previous session on another target and see if you have a similar opinion about this target that we've just looked at.
Okay.
I quote from your drawing narrative, quote, "It was like a great deal of care was used in putting it in very secretively. It was then sealed off, and people went away, and they waited a considerable amount of time before turning it on." Close quote. In referencing considerable amount of time, the amount of time that you talked about here seemed to be short to me, and I'm questioning in your own mind, what did you mean, and how do you feel about this target?
Well, I think it's a perception of what short and long is. Considerable amount of time to me is these 2.5 years or 2 years that this thing's been put in. I think each one of these individual targets, they're very similar, but they're designed for the particular place in which they lie. And each one was constructed many years ago in a chain of events. Okay, like they constructed A 10 years ago, B target 9 years ago, C target 8 years ago. And as they were being constructed, they were being in place. This particular target was constructed 2 to 2.5 years ago. It was in place a year ago. It's not turned on. Or it's turned on, but it's lying dormant. They're all lying dormant, but they're all turned on that are installed. They're still going in. I get that impression. Or else they have to be turned on. They're all in and have to be turned on, some of them.
Okay. Okay, that clears that up for me. I was wondering what you had meant by that and how you compared it here with years.
It's like a this thing's like a cobweb. This is just a gut feeling now, but this is a perception, a concept perception.
Mm-hmm.
If you equate this to a cobweb, every single angle in a cobweb represents a location on the cobweb. And I get an impression that the spider has not turned his whole cobweb on yet. But when he does, then it'll just be rattle the web anywhere. You know, that kind of effect.
Okay.
That's all I get.
Okay, fine.